Matt Hamilton.
What's going on?
So, I know you do videography, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
Photography as
A little
well.
bit, yeah.
So, tell me how you got into that. How did that start?
My content, like videography stuff, I mean, honestly, that kind of started like way back, like probably like middle school. Used to play like a bunch of video games and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
to be honest, like not even front. And used to like edit videos and stuff, just like with my older brother.
Mm.
And then kind of like going into high school. I mean, honestly, the only thing on my mind was like football, but this was like a hobby. So, on YouTube and stuff, I started seeing like these travel videos come up, and like just something about them, like they really just like inspired me kind of, and like just be creative, and like I don't even know, I just got like super inspired by it. So I kind of just started like thinking about like things to do creatively, and like just a bunch of stuff like that. Eventually I just wanted to start like pursuing content and like putting out my own creative messages.
When you say creative messages, what's your main focus?
I mean, if you want to call it creative, it's more of just my message as like a whole would just be to make like the biggest impact on individuals, like whoever consumes my content. I want to have the same effect on them that the content that I watched had on me. So, really it was just like, get inspired, follow your dreams. Don't worry about, what everyone else is saying or thinking about you, or like just don't, it's just any time that you spend thinking about that is just taken away from time that you could be spending doing the things that you want to do.
Gotcha. So, I do have to ask where you're from, how this all, because you did tell how this all started. So, where'd you go to school, things like that?
Yeah, so I'm from Raleigh, North Carolina. Went to school originally in Youngsville. That's like way back, and then where I really went to school, like elementary, middle, and high school, is all at Leesville Road High School, in Wake County. And so went all through grade school, and really like growing up, like my entire like focus was on football. Like I've played football since like I don't even know, like since I was like 6 or something. And so going into high school and middle school, and kind of growing up, my main focus was to get a scholarship and play Division I football. And I really pursued that. Like I thought like that's what I was like. I really thought that's what I wanted to do, and I was good at it too. Like I was on JV my freshman year, but sophomore year I kind of started dabbling in varsity, and then junior year I was doing a lot of camps and prospect camps and stuff like that. So I was getting a little bit of attention, not really though. And as senior year kind of came around, it just things weren't lining up properly. I wasn't really sure like if I wanted to play football in college. Like I was traveling to different schools, like schools in Tennessee, and like and those were just like kind of opportunities. They weren't even like really offers. So I was kind of getting discouraged a little bit, just because I felt like I felt like I left a lot on the table. I don't know, just something kind of started changing with the football dream. And all of a sudden I found myself kind of in the last few months of my senior year, kind of not really knowing what I wanted to do. So I really just started like researching, because like this was around the time that parents are saying like, well, where do you want to go to school, like what do you want to study, like what are you doing, you see everyone else kind of got their thing going on. So I really just started like looking at different opportunities, different schools and stuff. And my older brother actually he just graduated from UNC Charlotte.
Gotcha.
He was going to be a senior there at the time that I was going into my freshman year. So I was like, hey, I'm gonna go to Charlotte. So I went down there, and throughout this whole kind of time period of summer before I'm getting going, like before I'm getting ready to leave off, I'm just really just studying and just learning a whole bunch of stuff about business and marketing and stuff like that. And throughout that time period, I spent probably a few $1,000s on courses and stuff like that.
Few thousand.
Yeah.
And this is courses for
just like the first course I ever bought was the Social Media Marketing Agency by Ty Lopez.
Really?
Yeah.
How'd you like that?
Dude, that changed like at the time that I went through that course, because I had saved them. At the time I was working at, and this was like January my senior year. At the time I was working at Chipotle with some of my buddies, and this is when kind of like internet money was kind of like just before it kind of popped and everyone was like, yo, internet money is the way. Like this kind of
So like Bitcoin, Cash App.
No. I didn't know what Bitcoin was at that point.
Really?
Yeah. This was January, my senior year, working at Chipotle, and I was saving up my money for this course. I knew I wanted to get it, bro. This is the first time I saved up my own money. It was like $1,000 or something. I saved up my own money, went ahead and bought it, and when I made that investment, like when you put money down towards something and you make that investment, it kind of forces you to follow through on it. So I start going through this thing, learn a whole bunch about, services and, value and offering and solving problems and, being a business and setting up an LLC and doing all this kind of stuff. And it really just kind of like, it intrigued me and it got me super inspired to do it. And it was actually at that point that I realized that like, that's what I wanted to do. Like I wanted to build a marketing agency, which was the first course that I went through. But then, it kind of slowed down a little bit as I went into summer. Summer of my senior year, going into freshman year of college was actually when I started going out to certain businesses and, asking them and pitching them on my services and stuff like that. And it kind of slowed down because I realized that like, it's not instant. Success doesn't come instantly. And that's something that I really had to learn. And I think through all that progress that I made, I kind of realized that like, okay, this is an actual business that you're trying to build, not just not just something you bought and all of a sudden you're going to make money from it. Like you actually got to build it. You got to become the person you need to be. You need to go through all the failures. You need to get all the experience and actually, be the business owner and do that.
So with starting all this and, you're past that point of where you've realized that success isn't going to come quick and it's not going to be easy. What to date, I guess you could say within the past maybe 6 months, have you realized like, this isn't easy? These dreams that they have, or like they understand they have a passion for something, or they're creative with one thing, or they have a mindset for something, but they don't have a like really good understanding that it's not just gonna come like that.
Yeah. No, everyone just talks, and they gotta realize that like you gotta do more than you talk. It's fine. You can talk, but you gotta realize like you gotta put some action, actually like do something. So I'll actually give you a good example. So it kind of continues right after where I just left off, honestly. Going into my freshman year at Charlotte, and this was so with that whole course that I was just talking about, it kind of made me question the value of school and what I was getting myself into.
Really?
Yes. And I was like, yo, why am I about to go to school and pay X amount of money for some stuff that I'm probably never going to use? Like, and I understand it's undergrad. Like, I'm not saying school is useless, but I'm saying like for what I'm trying to do, like I went to my freshman business classes. I went to all the classes that were I went to all my classes at first, honestly. But then I started to realize like, yo, I'm just wasting my time. Like they don't teach the social media management and advertising services. They don't teach Facebook advertising in
Really?
school. Yeah, no, they don't teach any. I mean, they might they're going to tell you about social media. They're going to say, hey, look, online advertising is what, like, that's the modern way of, that's where culture is moving. But they don't they don't get into nitty gritty of like how you do it. And really,
so if you could give without exposing your secrets, what, not I guess advice, but like what's something you've learned about that social media or marketing aspect that you haven't gotten or consumed from school?
The only thing about and I'm gonna kind of pull from a lot of philosophies that Gary Vee pulls from, because
Gary Vaynerchuk of VaynerMedia, right?
Yes, yeah. He's one of my big inspirations. But really, social media is just where like it's marketing in itself is really just about where the attention's at. Social media is where that attention is, online. Like, and I'm sure, everyone's probably heard it 1,000 times. Like, everyone's always on their phone now. Like, everyone's always on their phone. Well, that's not changing. And if anything, we're only going further down a path of more of that. Like, we're not going to go backwards. So, what I kind of learned that they don't teach in school is just like how to how to get people's attention. You got to get in front of the right people. And some of these online advertising like methods, they're a lot more cost effective per like what you're trying to do than any other thing. Like you can throw up a TV ad for like a few $1,000,000, or you can throw up a billboard on the side of a highway for probably a few $1,000s a month. And like, what is that getting you?
Yeah,
you know,
it's very limited.
Exactly.
Aspect, I feel like.
And with online methods, you get more control over how your ad is viewed, how it comes across, when, who you're targeting, why, like just everything. And it's just so much more cost effective and worth it. And they don't teach any of that in school.
Would you say this has helped you, like, help you find, like, I guess, who you are as an individual?
Yes.
Really?
Yes, 100%. And not, I wouldn't say like the marketing stuff, but more so just, figuring out my journey, becoming more confident in like my abilities and like my purpose and what I want to do. Because at the end of the day, like your life is about you. Like people don't realize that like you only get one life, bro. Like,
yeah.
And that's kind of like, I don't know. Like once I started realizing that, it just became more of like, okay, if you want to do something, like who are you waiting for to come do it? Like just do it. So while I was at school, I started realizing like, and while I was at school, I was doing like, I wasn't going out. Like so I probably went out I did the first like month probably like just learning the freshman experience and like doing that whole jazz. And then I realized like, yo, what am I doing? Like I'm just, I don't know, at least in my opinion, like that's just like wasting time. So
actually, the butt end, I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Trevor Jerry, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my boy. Me and him go way back.
Yeah.
And me and him like have always had this like type of energy where whenever we link up, we're talking about some move, some form of business, something like we have in our mind.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting here. This was like, I can't even remember, yo. I know it was like sometime during like first semester where we actually, Trevor pointed it out, not to rat him out, but he was like, yo, Matt Hamilton's up to something, bro. I was like, what are you talking about? Because at that point, like once you get out of high school, you're out of high school, you're on your own.
Yeah.
Like
it's like real now.
Yeah, it's the adult experience, but also like you're always gonna have that group of people where it's like, like what's everyone doing kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
So like word on the street was like you're at UNC Charlotte, like you're just living life, whatever. I guess I don't know. At that point, I wasn't like involved in anything, and that's when I first followed you on Instagram, I think, and I saw that you were doing like videography and like, all this, and I thought it was pretty dope. So.
Yeah, man. I mean, I appreciate that. Like, I mean, I mean, that's always a humbling thing to hear that people, notice that. Yeah. Well, I mean, while I was at school, like I really wasn't going out and doing stuff like that. I was really, just like in my room on my computer, in the library on my computer, doing social media, learning just everything, and eventually I stopped going to class. Like really? I just altogether, just like it just what like I was literally like, why am I spending my time going to and
just like wasting money at that point.
Yeah, and I apologize for like anyone who like just loves like rocks and stuff, but like why am I wasting my time going to geology and like my geology lab and like stuff like why am I doing that? Yeah, like that. Yeah, like and
hit him up on Instagram.
No. Oh, my fault, bro. But I mean, that's like for me at least. Like I was just, and not even like that. And that's just an example. Like my theater class, like for like just stuff like that. Like why am I doing stuff that's taken away from time that I can be doing? Like I could be furthering, my own knowledge in my own field. And once I started just thinking like that, it was really just okay. I'm doing online courses. I spent more money getting more courses and more things that I can learn and just teach and just. Trial and error, starting e-commerce stores, basically throwing the money. Like, I'm not sure if anyone gets like money from their parents or like from work while they're at school, but like any money that I had was going towards like ads and stuff.
Really?
Yeah. Like just like Facebook ads, stuff like that. Like just running just e-commerce stuff, building Instagram pages for the brands that I was building, and it really just became so like just more intriguing to me, I guess, that just school was just kind of not really cutting it anymore for me. And so yeah, I was also doing a lot of networking at that time. I was really reaching out to literally every influencer on Instagram, just saying like, hey, what can I do for you? Like literally what can I do for you? Like, do you need videos edited? Like, do you need pictures edited? Do you need like podcast covers? Do you need this or that or this?
Any of them respond?
Yeah. That's really how I networked with like, that's how I network with like everyone that I know on Instagram. Like, and it's really just reaching out and just providing that value first, so that and really just not expecting anything in return. Like, honestly, if I didn't get anything in return, like let's say I network with someone and I'm like, yo, like, what do you need? And they're like, hey, I need, a store created or like a website created or something like that. Then I'm gonna do that because that's more experience for me. And if I don't get anything back, like I'm fine with that. And that's what you gotta understand. You gotta reach out with no expectation of like getting something, and that's how you come from a good place. So it's gonna be a win-win, and that's actually how I linked up with one of my first. I mean, you could call him a mentor. It was really just someone who I kind of linked up with and was like talking with, doing work, and his name is Cameron Eakins. He goes by the name of @JetSetCam. Or @JetSetLift on Instagram. And he was really one of the first people that I kind of got to know, really. And they were actually doing an influencer event in New York. And at that time, it was like October. And I was just like, yo, like, it was like that week. I was like, yo, okay, I'm going to just drop everything and go. So me and my cousin I literally drove home from school that week. It was like Thursday or Friday, so I don't need like class. Yeah, like I had class on like the next day. I was like, I'm going to New York. So me and my cousin drove up like 9 hours and like got there and like got to the event, and it was really just like that whole thing was really just about like getting around the right people. Learn like and they were teaching stuff there, but I really just went to network and get around the right people and get my face out there. Like that's what you got to do. And I met him there like in face to face like for the first time, and he was a really cool guy, and it was just like, I'm meeting all these people that are established influencers, and like once you kind of get around that energy, you just realize like I'm here, like there's so much to go, but like if you're here or you know what I'm saying, like there's a level of achievement there almost. And so got to do some content with him, and then just came back and was like, okay, like school is just like like it's kind of out the picture at this point. And I can't tell you how many like long phone calls I've had with my parents, like my mom and dad, just like trying to explain to them like I'm like, I can't tell you how confident I am in like my ability to do the things that I say I'm gonna do. And that's not on like cocky. That's just like when you're really passionate about something and you realize that like you're gonna do this because you only live one life and you want it to be a certain way, then there's no like compromise. Like what else are you gonna do other than that? So I was just like, hey, I'm gonna pack up my bags. And I came home early December, which was early December last year. And I was like, hey, I'm gonna live at home for a little bit, and I'm gonna just build my business, my marketing agency, and I'm just start attracting clients and start doing things of that nature just to further that dream and passion.
So Matt, I know we were talking about how your thought coming, I guess, out of college, even though it was your first year, was why waste that time and that money, and I guess that energy overall when you could be applying it to something else. And that had me really thinking about my conversation with Trey Keeney, and it's all about maximizing your 10,000 hours.
Yeah.
It takes 10,000 hours to like accomplish something fully and be a master of a craft. So, looking back, what has been your biggest challenge, and then what has been like, your biggest like, oh, this is dope experience? You know what I mean? Like, What's been the best? What's been the bad and the good? Just give it to me.
Okay. The bad, it's been. I mean, it was really kind of more the last half of last year when it was. I mean, it was great because I got to be on my own. Got to learn how to be like my own individual, my own man, like make my own decisions, like all that kind of stuff. But it was really just kind of like bad, as in like, okay, at this point, like with where my mindset is at, it's just not like it's holding me back. So when I dropped out, the bad thing was, I gotta go move back in with my parents. I gotta.
Sorry, mom.
Yeah, sorry, mom. I just gotta start doing all these things. Like you can't just, once you drop out of school, like, when we were saying earlier, like once you kind of get out of high school and you get into college, like it's like real.
It's
Dude,
tough,
once you drop out of school, like
Oodles
it
and
hits the
every
fan,
night.
bro. Like, so you really gotta like, and at that point, like you're committed. There's no going back. So, so I was building my business and reaching out to people, and at this time, I needed, part of my agency was, part of being an agency and being a marketing thing is you need content. So, at this point, I need equipment. And these are things that, you can outsource and stuff like that, but I also have a passion for that a little bit. So I wanted to incorporate my style into my business. So, I went back to my old job, which was at Chipotle, and started working, saving up money, getting equipment, investing into equipment and more courses and stuff like that. And January, I actually flew out to California to go to a conference with Ty Lopez, Mike Long, Neil Patel, and like a whole bunch of other like game changers. Like these are like top marketers and like digital marketers. I think Neil Patel was like rated #1 marketer by like Obama or something like that.
Are you
like
serious?
a few years ago. Like
wow.
but these these are people that are just like really good, and just got to learn from them the whole day. Like Dr. David Buss, just really just kind of surrounding myself with those environments and those right people again, which is a big thing. Like you really got to get around the right people with like the same mindset. And so I went out there, just got to experience like the whole Cali thing. I met up with a few of the people that I actually been networking with, and kind of came back, and that's kind of when things kind of switched, and I was like, okay, I'm on this journey now, and I started setting goals. Like, and I had goals, but this is when I really started setting goals. Like, okay, I want to start, like, I need clients for my business. I need to start getting this off the ground. And I wanted to build my personal brand at the same time. So I got to build, my personal brand the way that I envision it. And so I really just started the grind of like just learning more. Like I said, I was going through all these courses and, taking that and applying it and going out to businesses and asking them and pitching them. And I guess the real breakthrough moment was when I had an opportunity to work with one of my clients. And I'm not going to disclose who they are, but once I got that first one and I started realizing like, okay, I can do this. And like, it was such like, once you switch from the thing of just like I said, or like we were talking about before, once you switch from just talking about something to actually doing it, and same thing with that, and like doing all the videos and like going to different, we'll call it like restaurants or breweries or even like music videos and stuff like that. Like once you just start doing stuff, the actions just start adding up, and that's how you build momentum. And momentum is a really, really big thing. You can't just like, yes, it's going to be painful once you kind of start, like the first initial actions are going to start, because during your initial action, like phase, I'll call it, you're going to see the least amount of results. Like you got to do so much work just to get off the ground so you can start moving forward. And that's when most people quit, is like when they just start.
Yes.
That's when most people quit.
I can relate to that so much.
Because as soon as you start doing something and you have this, like you get inspired, right? And then you get motivated. And so you start doing all these things and you're really moving, and then all of a sudden you hit like a brick wall and you're like, man, this is going to be harder than I thought. And it's like, that's when most people quit. And so if you just start building momentum and start breaking through those walls and start saying, okay, I realize there's going to be ups and downs, and I accept that there's going to be ups and downs, but I'm just focused on the long-term vision. And especially if that's your passion, then it becomes easy. Those ups and downs become easy to handle. And that's really just, I've had some low lows where I just like, I felt awful, both like with everything, mentally, physically, emotionally. Like, I'm tired, I'm staying up until like 4 or 5 in the morning, and then getting up again in like a few hours just to go to work, like open to work and like do stuff like that. And it's tough, but like I said, if you're following your passion, like that opens the door for it to be easy and fun.
You were talking to me earlier about money and ads.
Oh yeah.
You're like spending money on
Mm-hmm.
advertisements.
Yeah.
Walk me through your first. I guess just tell me about your first advertisement. Like, how did that go?
All right. So my first, and this was kind of when I was getting into like e-commerce and stuff like that. And this was back when I was in school, like my freshman year of college. So I was literally sitting in my dorm, bro, and I'm just, like I said, I'm just searching, like just going through the courses that I had, or searching YouTube, or like going through Instagram networking, do all that stuff. Like I'm literally like I was always on like my technology stuff, like my phone and my laptop and stuff like that. But like it was like I wasn't like playing games or just like mindlessly scrolling. Like it's a strategic like way of doing things, and I was just doing all that, and all of a sudden I come across this video, and it's just like talking about e-commerce and stuff like that. And so me being me, and like just being willing to like sit through videos that I have no idea what it's going to be about, just to see if I can learn something, I went ahead and clicked on it. And it was actually by Sebastian Bedoya. He was kind of teaching stuff on Shopify and stuff like that. And I went through like a number of his videos. I think it was like 7 or 8, and I kind of just like laid everything out, like how to start your store, and it obviously it was kind of like the overlay. Like, he didn't get really too like in depth, but I kind of just took that, like followed it, and just started, taking what I was watching and then doing it like in another tab, literally.
Got you. So, what do you think has been the biggest investment for you personally? Not in terms of like, oh, I gotta go and get this like one piece of like or this one class online to understand this.
Right.
But like to yourself, mentally, physically, it could be emotionally, whatever it may be. What has been your biggest like investment? Like, make sure, you know what I mean? Like, what have you had to sit down? Where have you came to a point where you've had to sit down with yourself and be like, I need to make sure I'm square and I'm tight on this all the time?
The biggest investment where I need to be 100% all the time is in myself. And that sounds selfish, but it's in yourself. Like for real, you got to make sure you're going where you want to go. You got to make sure you're hanging around with the people you want to hang around with. You're spending your time the way that you want to spend your time. If you got a girl, that's who you want it to be. Like, if you whatever you're doing, like it needs to be what you have when you're thinking 1 year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Like, what do you want long term? And that's what you got to be square with yourself. If you don't and that kind of ties in with like setting goals. If you don't have goals, like, you're kind of just like existing. And if you don't have goals, if you don't have a purpose, like what are you really doing? Like, you're just kind of just existing, like I said. And I don't know. That's just like, you really got to be square on your goals.
Going through all this, who has been your biggest influence? You can't say Gary Vee.
Bro, you already know it's Gary Vee, bro.
Gary Vee.
You already know it's Gary Vee.
If you had to pick someone else besides Gary Vee, who would it be?
Besides Gary Vee?
Or Ty Lopez.
Okay.
Somebody watching this or listening to this may not know, because I firmly believe you're the product of the 5 people you hang around the most. And those 5 people, I mean, I think we were even talking about this during that video shoot we did. Where those 5 people don't have to be like people you actually physically hang around.
Right.
It's the information you feed
yourself. Yeah, exactly.
So, who do you think has been your biggest influence in that?
All right, well, without a doubt, Gary Vaynerchuk. But and I'm just saying that just because like literally I've poured through almost all his videos to the point where like I've gotten to some where it's just like, okay, and he literally says it in one of his videos, like, if you're watching my content, you gotta stop watching my content so you can go do stuff.
Yeah, and see what he's doing.
Yeah. If you it's watch what he's doing, not what he's saying.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, listen to what he's saying because it's good advice, but you gotta watch what he's doing. He's putting out content every day, and I gotta get better at a lot of this stuff too. but he's putting out content like every single day around the clock on every single platform. So without a doubt, he's one of my biggest influences. Besides Gary, probably Grant Cardone, just because. Yeah.
He just actually released his book on how he made his money from the housing market, I think.
Oh yeah, real estate.
Yeah, real estate.
Yeah, he's fantastic. Just, I mean, he's more on kind of selling and stuff like that. But I listen to him all the time. Like I just play his videos on his way to work, while I'm editing, while I'm doing client work, like just stuff like that. And he really just like, he's got his money right.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just listen to him for like a lot of the finance side of it, and like just the more information that you can take and kind of like apply to your own life from the people that are where you want to be that's the type of information you want to take in.
Gotcha. One big thing for me is routine.
Mm-hmm.
And building those good fundamental habits you need not to be successful, because that's a generalized term.
Right.
Those habits you need to cope and deal with negative, positive, eventful situations that happen either in business, friendships, like every aspect of life. And for me, the biggest thing with that is setting an expectation and a standard for myself.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if I don't have an expectation or standard set for myself, then what expectation or standard would I set for someone else who is around me, Because I'm the type of person where, like, I'm not the biggest, baddest cat in the room, you know what I mean? Like, I always go into a room, like, glass half empty. Like, I'm trying to, like, feed off of people.
Right. But, no, that kind of takes, and sorry to cut you off, but that kind of ties into, obviously you need to have expectations, like almost like goals, like we were just saying. Like, you need to have a certain level of like, okay, this is what I'm willing, because you're only as good as the lowest level that you're willing to accept of yourself.
Yeah. Whoa, that shit hit deep.
So
you might have to re-say that.
You're only as good as the lowest level that you accept yourself at. So you can be like as great as you want to be, but on a normal day you're only as good as the lowest form that you accept yourself at. And then, but if you go below that, then you're like, all right, I need to start doing what I need to do again.
That's that expectation.
Yeah, that's the expectation.
Yeah.
So what I'm gonna say, kind of off that, is you really just need to be optimistic about almost everything. Like you have to know that if you're doing the things that you need to do, things will play out. Like, you got to be optimistic. If you're doing the right actions, if you're working, or you're setting up certain things, or you're networking and you're doing all these things for people, you got to realize, like, it's a process. It takes time. You got to be optimistic about every situation, whether there's negative like comments coming your way, hate coming your way, or things aren't working out your way. Like, you got to be optimistic, and you just got to believe in like what you're doing. Like, you just have to have that level, like belief level.
So for me, what I noticed with a lot of people, I actually looked this up today. So I was chilling with my mom today, and everyone talks about being a millennial.
Yeah.
And, Generation X and the baby boomers, all that. Well, we're not even considered millennials, bro.
Yeah.
I just found that out. In my mind.
That's like, whack.
Yeah,
in my opinion. No, that's, dude. I don't know though.
Here's the thing.
I feel like we might.
Millennials don't invest.
What you mean?
So, I'm not gonna say which, but my mother works for an investment firm.
Okay.
Top notch. Like some secret type stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
But they actually, because she's a project manager, she has a lead role. She's like C-level staff. So they did a survey and they did research, and a majority of millennials, I don't know like straight statistics, but basically what I consumed from what she said was they don't invest.
I think I think a lot of millennials just blow their money, to be honest.
Yes.
Yeah.
Literally, like they don't keep jobs.
They don't keep jobs more than like 2 or 3 years. Or they switch jobs like every 5 or something like that. And I think the majority, even above that, I mean maybe a little less, but like just living like paycheck to paycheck and stuff like that, and like, yeah.
And that made me think a lot about just the generation I am, and then like, well, we are, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And also like what mean you have to offer what anyone has to offer, really.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be me and you.
Yeah.
It could be a bum off the street, a homeless person off the street that
Right.
has a song to offer to somebody, you know, who's had a bad day. Like, it can be anything. But for me, it's that I don't understand how people have this concept that you have to be successful to give advice.
Success is such like a subjective thing. Like, success is whatever success is to you.
Yeah.
And first of all, like, millennials, like, they get so much like crap for just being like millennials, and like, I don't know why really, but like, you got to realize like we're the most advanced generation of, like, I'm gonna say we're just because like we're in that time period, like whatever, but we're like, this is the most advanced generation, like in all of time. Like think about it, like they didn't have this kind of stuff, and that kind of ties into like what you were saying, like it can be anyone. Like, we all have this opportunity, like we all have this technology, and it's all like available, that really anyone can make an impact and kind of get their voice heard in some form or fashion.
And that actually makes me think about Gary Vee, because he said your phone is a remote to the world.
Yeah,
and
like
what you input is important.
Dude, just think about that. Like, what?
Yes.
Dude, phones. Like, people gotta realize, like, it's this little tablet. Like, we didn't have that like 15 years ago. Like,
I can go find someone in like Russia and message them, and
it's like you just gotta think, and then and you gotta realize, like, this whole technology thing is, like, in the grand scheme of things, like, it's so early.
Yeah, that's very true.
No, like, it actually is. Like, think about it. Like, it's so early. Like, what? Like, I don't know. I'm just mind blown by it. Really.
Robot, we're all gonna like be destroyed by robots.
I don't know. I mean, some of the technology nowadays.
But for me, you're talking on how staying optimistic.
Yeah.
And I'm a firm believer in pessimism doesn't win any battles.
Nah.
Because when I interview people, and then also when I see people and I meet people, like, I like to know them. And when I do get to know them, I want to know some of their failures.
Yeah.
All their failures, I guess.
Yeah.
Not even that, but also I want to know their successes, because, you know, being great only means so much, but what does it mean to, like, go through something and be great? So for you, where have you found yourself in a situation where you were pessimistic and you lost that battle, or even you were pessimistic and then you realized it, you changed it, and you maybe have won that battle? So just walk me through both ideas.
Okay. So yeah. So being pessimistic. I mean, honestly, I don't feel like I was ever like super pessimistic on something. I could be wrong. I'm not really sure. But I would say, like, something that I really, really thought that I was gonna do. Like, I really, really thought that I was gonna go play Division I football. Like, I really thought that is what I wanted to do. And now looking back, I realized that, like, if I truly wanted to, like, now that I'm doing what I am doing with such a passion that I have right now, I realized that, like, I didn't feel this way about football. And that was when I kind of lost that. That was a big major defeat, because that's what I wanted to do. I mean, I've overcame it right, like, now at this point, but, when I was going through that, it was like, I don't have a Division I scholarship. Like, I'm not gonna play anywhere. I'm like, this is it.
You feel some type of way.
Yeah, like, this is it for football. Like, it's really over. Like, the parents are like, we just, the parents made an investment too. Like, going to all those practices and camps and going to the, summer camps and stuff like that. So, I don't know. I really just kind of felt like defeated and, like, kind of just down, because it was like, I feel like I just kind of let them down a little bit. But I kind of overcame that because, as I said, and I kind of found a passion in something else, which ultimately I think is what they want. But I kind of found a passion, which kind of overcame that, and honestly fueled everything that I had taken from football and the leadership and the passion I had for that, and just fueled it into, this newborn goal and stuff like that.
So, quick, short answer real quick. What do you think has been your hardest part of building momentum? Because you were saying that's very important. So
yeah.
What do you think has been the hardest challenge with building that momentum? Because momentum is everything, like you said. and building it is everything, but it's keeping it and maintaining that momentum that can be hard.
The hardest part about building momentum is being optimistic enough to keep it going.
Yeah.
Like,
Consistency, yeah.
right. You got to be consistent, but you have like you just have to be optimistic. Like you can't like keep momentum going and just be like, oh, it's not, it's not going to work out, or this bill hit me, or now I have a ticket, or I failed a class. Like you have to just be optimistic and say, okay, this is a challenge and I accept that, and now I just got to figure out how do I solve it, or how do I get past it, and stuff like that. So I'd say the biggest thing with momentum is just being optimistic and being consistent.
All right, so with that, what has been, because everyone gets judged,
Right.
big or small.
Right.
What's the biggest form of judgment you've got, whether from your peers, your family, just anyone, impersonal, not personal? What has been that form of judgment, and then how have you handled that?
To be completely honest, I haven't heard anything, and I'm sure it goes on. I really have no doubt, just because like I feel like people hate on anything, but I feel like the thing that I try to do is spread positivity. I try to impact people, and I try to do all that to the best of my ability. Like, you can take what you can, apply it to your own life. Like, take whatever you can. But I really, if there is any, or if I have heard any, and a few people have told me that, like, like someone came in and was like, yo, what is he even doing? Like, but honestly, I can't even hear that. Like, I don't
Like people's opinions of you, none
dude,
of your business.
I don't, like, I can't tell you how much I really don't care, because, like, you're, like, and that might sound bad, but I really don't, because, like, your opinion isn't going to change what my goal is of what I'm trying to do. Like, it has no effect on it. So, like, any time that I spend, like, thinking, like, okay, well, if I post this, or, like, if I do this, or if someone says this about me, like, I just really don't see any point. And a lot of that comes from listening to people like Gary, and listen to all those people. So I've kind of just like learned to fill my mind with that kind of stuff and just tune out everything else.
Got you. So, how have you handled certain defeats with what you've gone and the path you've taken from high school, and not seeing that field being Division 1? What, besides football and besides beginning to start this journey that you're on, what has been defeat that you've handled? Like, how have you handled it?
So a defeat, I wouldn't really call it a defeat, because it was a decision that I made. But dropping out of school is like a very controversial thing. Like, you don't really, like, it's kind of, and I mean, it's literally in my bio, so that might kind of trigger some people, but like, I don't know, just like when I dropped out of school, it's like, okay, you're out now, like, and that's something, like, and I really don't know if I can I mean, you probably know what I'm talking about, but I'm not sure I can really like explain it. But like, once you kind of do it, and like, it's like, okay, it's like shit gets real.
Yeah, you gotta, it's make it.
Right. So you, at that point, like, and that's I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, that's pressure, like, that you feel like there is a form of pressure. At least there was on me, just because I felt like, I have an older brother and an older sister. My older brother's going to school. My older sister's going to school. My younger brother's probably going to school. I have no doubt that he probably is. And the thing that I'm like trying to get at is, like, with the pressure of like having older siblings do that, and the parents are like, yo, you're gonna go to school, like, and now you just like are like, I'm not doing that, I dropped out. And it's like, oh, by the way, I'm coming back home, like, for a few months, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a whole bunch of pressure in that. And so, like, you really just gotta be truthful with yourself and say, like, okay, truthful and trust in yourself, and say, okay, well, like, this is what I'm gonna do, and you gotta lay out a plan. So, to kind of answer your question, if you have a defeat, you have to lay out a plan on how you're gonna, go about getting through it or getting over it, and then you gotta execute that.
So, have you, do you have, like, any recollection of how many clients you've dealt with? Good numbers, I guess?
I mean, ballpark, probably, like, 20, but I can't tell you, like, I mean, they've been for different stuff.
Yeah, and your content's really good, speaking from a place where you've actually done content for me. I mean, it's top notch.
I appreciate
So,
that.
what to conclude? What do you think, or not think? What is your biggest outlook for what you got going on?
My biggest outlook in terms of like where I'm going.
Yeah,
Like,
just with everything, man.
dude,
Like, just
if I could just, I mean,
see where it lands.
man, I already talked. Okay, so you want me to kind of lay out where I'm gonna be at?
Yeah, like what's your biggest outlook for everything you got going? So with videography, like just all that, bro. Marketing.
Yeah, I mean, so essentially, I'm gonna tie all that in, and gonna continue to build my business, and kind of keep on that route, keep on keep on. And that's really that's something that really is going to fulfill me, just because I've learned to love, like I've really learned to love to build my business, and so just continuing to build that as big as I can, and to build my personal brand. And ideally, I kind of want my personal brand to be really business and travel, just because I want to give value and I want to impact people, like I said, and I want to inspire others. But I also I want to give practical tips, and I also want to show the lifestyle. And some people don't like that, but that's really, in the grand scheme of things, like, I wanted freedom. So kind of setting out, I wanted freedom. So that's not to say that I'm gonna be chilling on a beach in like Hawaii or something, just like chilling, but like, I wanted the ability to take my work with me. So if I want to travel or I want to do certain things, I can do that. And so just building my personal brand and continuing to do that, hopefully travel and see the world, building my business, and just continuing to network and grow with other people around me.
Gotcha. All right. Well, what's to end it? What's one piece of advice you'd have for either younger you, or just someone listening or watching this that's probably thinking about getting into this or something like this, or just even stepping out of their comfort zone?
So I'm not sure a lot of people. Well, I mean, I know some of my followers might be pursuing the same thing that I'm pursuing, but some of them might not be. So for anyone, really, the answer is just to get clear on what you want to do. Like, you got to figure out, like, you got to set some goals. What do you want to do in the next 5 years, the next 10 years? Like, what do you want to do? You got to get clear about that. And then from that point on, only listen to the voice inside of your head. And that means you got to tune out, everyone who says, oh, you can't do that because you're this, or you can't do that because of that. And they're just going to keep on telling you all these different things. And then suddenly they're going to see you start doing it. And then they're going to say, oh, like, I knew you could do that. Or like, I knew you could do this. And it's going to be like, oh, I support you, brother. Like, keep on doing your thing. Like, blah, 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 blah. Tune out that too. Like, just like, once you set a goal, just keep, like, it's almost like tunnel vision. Like, just keep on, like, moving towards that goal. And regardless of, what happens, like the ups and downs and everything like that, you just got to keep a big picture point of view, and just really stay optimistic about the ups and downs of the journey, because it is a journey, and you're not going to get to your goal overnight. And just keep on pursuing, what you want to do, and that way you can live the life that you want to live.
Sweet. All right, this is the AB Method. I'm your host, Adrian Brown, sitting here with my guest, Matt Hamilton. We're talking about fulfillment. Appreciate you coming on, Matt. Check him out on Instagram. Pretty dope content. Also, don't forget Helm Headwear Company. It's the gold standard for everything headwear and accessories.
Cutters.